Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the topic of the day appears to be KD. Mike James, a player that played with KD last year with the Brooklyn Nets, essentially said that KD uh, came to him and told him that he wasn't expecting the Brooklyn Nets to do anything in the playoffs before the first round even began. And, of course, they're going to come down on him and say he's the worst guy in the world for that. First of all, James, I don't know to what context this information was released. Was it a slip of the tongue? Did he deliberately want us to know this? Was it just one of them situations where he was like, man, I talked to him before the playoffs. He didn't believe in him. It was like that kind of context would help me understand how to look at Mike James. But ultimately, you would prefer this kind of thing not come out at all, I think. Um, but then again, this is also the NBA, and they do things for headlines. So something like this kind of piggybacks a lot of what has always been said about KD. So it keeps people talking. Yet another thing. Um, my thing is this, man. I don't know if KD said this or not, so it's not something that I'm willing to say I agree with him on, because that would be me saying that I believe he said this, and I'm not ready to say that I believe he said this because that's essentially suggesting that um, a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and that's what I'll say in regards to that. So I don't think that he believed that he was going to lose before the series started, as it pertains to whether or not he could will his team to victories. My thinking is, if he said something like this, he was looking at it from a standpoint of, we don't have enough to compete against a team like Boston, and therefore we know we can't beat them in a 7 game series. I don't think he was sitting there with Mike James saying, I don't think we can win a game. I don't believe he did that. I don't believe he was thinking that, although they didn't win a single game. It was a situation where, you just kind of looked at them and saw Ben Simmons not being there, understanding what he represented in regards to the cap. We talk about it all the time. You have your full pie going up against a team that doesn't have its full pie, and that's kind of what it is. The Boston Celtics had their full pie. Everybody was pretty much healthy in that series, and they were going up against a team that didn't have a third of their team. And then the continuity hadn't been there from the changes that had been made, and players hadn't been there. Obviously, different things. And a couple top all that off, they had a rookie coach, and I don't think the roster was all that talented, to be completely honest with you, not from top to bottom. So, yeah, if you're looking at it from the standpoint I was, you didn't think they could win that series. You didn't pick them to win. Now, I had them losing that series in 7. I didn't have them, getting swept or anything like that, but I knew it was a good chance that they didn't have enough to beat the Boston Celtics, and seeing as how it played out, they did not. And so I'd imagine KD could see that before the series starts. I think just because you're on a team does not mean that you can't look at the roster and tell if it's good or not. I think that's a misconception that a lot of times is painted about players. It's like they're supposed to be just inherently delusional about how a roster is supposed to be just because they're a part of it. No, you can look at this roster and clearly see it's not better than Boston's. So if any conclusion was came to, it was probably a logical one, to be completely honest with you. And we saw it played out. So yeah, man, I don't know if he said that or not. I wouldn't put that on him, and neither should Mike James. Honestly, I think that's something you keep to yourself, man. Um, However it comes out, you just don't want it to. I think that's that's the point there. So it is what it is, man. KD didn't believe the Brooklyn Nets could win. Maybe if he didn't say that, maybe that's what he did say. Maybe he didn't. I didn't either. Period. That is the end of the story. Um, and I look at this team this year and I say, well, they're going to be better because Ben's going to be there. If they bring everybody back, they're just going to be inherently better just off of the sheer fact that they have him. Um, and so that's ultimately something that should give them a little more confidence if they're forced to run it back. But at the same time, I still don't believe that the moves that they've made thus far have given them enough to win a championship. They'll probably get out of the first round if they don't run into a team like Boston, but you could run into another situation like that. You could very well run into a team like Boston in the first round. So what you want to do is just make sure you have enough in the event that takes place. Um, and so in the midst of this stalemate, the Nets are yet another one of those teams that has uncertainty going into the season and probably need to make some moves in order to make the team better. So yeah, obviously we're expecting them to do major moves, but even if they don't, um, they don't have enough. They really don't. So it is what it is, man. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. I don't blame anybody for feeling the way they do. If you think the Nets are enough, I can understand why they have enough top heavy talent to make you say what I'm saying isn't true. But the problem is, yeah, you can win games in the regular season with a top heavy team, but once it comes down to the playoffs and you're getting schemed against, chances are you're going to need more than just some superstars. You're going to need role players who can do dirty work, especially in a deep NBA with a lot of young players. And so that's what you're looking at when you see the Nets and come to a conclusion that has been alleged there. So I think that's it. My name is BDL44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.